Yeah, response video, I think, to Anekantavad, but I don't know. It's just, my previous video on ignorance turns out to be sort of related to this subject, but we're sort of in this, I don't know what his point is, often. It's obviously some sort of defense of some sort of value relativism, so I'll deal with a comment on one of my videos about that, and try to go through it again, I suppose. I mean, why it's only logical to recognize what we are doing here, what the function is, what the primary, most important function. It doesn't matter whether you're rooting for Red Sox or you're rooting for Yankees. It's the rooting part that matters. It doesn't matter whether you're dying of this disease or that disease or that or that or that. It matters on what you're experiencing in terms of the suffering and how it's degrading your conscious experience. It's about this conscious experience and the quality of it. It's all that matters. It's why slavery is bad, is because it creates qualitatively negative conscious experiences. It's not fun. It's not comforting. It's not comfortable. It's not enjoyable. These are the reasons, and we're perfectly capable of understanding them in a context of desirable and undesirable, suitable to enhancing our productivity and efficiency in our existence, and suitable to creating dysfunction. We can recognize them even like things, mechanisms like friction. We can understand the waste of pain. We can understand sufferings that produce no benefit, and all you need was a little bit of grease, or you just need a little bit of lubricant or some sort of thing, and you know, things would have been so much better because you wouldn't have had this heat and this loss and this degrading, this damage. We can understand it in that context, that's what we are. Sentient beings are different than non-sentient beings. I'm different than a computer. I'm different than a rock. I'm different than an apple. Because I'm conscious. I'm awake. And that phenomenon creates sensations that I experience, and they have obvious quality. It's not obtuse or strange shaped or indecipherable. It's not like there's no resolution. It's not like we don't have enough pixels to tell that that's Facebook and that's Twitter and Google Plus and Blogger and I don't know what the fuck that is. Yeah, we can resolve it. We can resolve these things and put them in categories of this is something you try to create in human beings, and this is something you try not to create in anything. This is bad, bad, bad. This is good, good, good. And we know that. And it's not uncertain, and there's not vague, and you can't play around saying it just doesn't, well, it doesn't matter whether Jews die in Holocaust. It doesn't matter whether slaves suffer in the field. It doesn't matter whether people are poisoned by a dioxin. No, it does matter, because they consciously experience things we would pay many fortunes to avoid experiencing. We know enough about what that experience is to know we wouldn't want it. It doesn't take much intelligence to figure out. You would not want to be. Go look at some medieval health products. Yeah, go look at those, especially ones for mental institutions. Go look at those health products and see if you'd want one of those conditions that require that kind of therapy. This is just a silly argument for adults to have. So I'll play some of his video, but it really isn't terribly relevant. He talks about Clockwork Orange, the rape scene, and about how, well, the rapist is having an experience, and the victim's having an experience, and the spectators are having experiences, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Does that mean something? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it means anything. I think if you want to just profile the people, yeah, there's people doing normal things, having a normal life, and a lunatic breaks into the house and rapes and murders. A lunatic, a crazy person who has the world upside down. And we know that most rapists are women haters. They don't like women. They don't love women. They hate women. They're at war with them, so to speak. They have all kinds of issues, personal issues. And they're using these things as scapegoats. They're using other women as scapegoats for mommy or whatever hurt them or abuse them. We know that hate motivates most violent crime. We know these things. This isn't that complicated. This pretense that there's something understandable, empathetic in reverse, because somehow we can't empathize with victims. We can't understand experiences that other people are having. Bullshit.
There's two parties to this. One is experiencing things one way. The other person is experiencing things another way. It looks to me...
I mean, really. Yes, they're involved in a dance, so to speak, where one party is completely self-obsessed and selfish and taking, and the other party is saying, why don't you just leave me the fuck alone?
I've never been raped and I've never raped anyone, but it looks to me as though the two points of view, the two experiences are irreconcilable. That they're...
I don't even know what that means. They're irreconcilable. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know. I'm sincerely, I don't know what that means. You're saying that somehow that's a surprise. That's that there's that there are engagements that people get into where the benefits are bent, crooked. That one gains all the gain and the other has all the pain. That surprises you that human beings get into those type of circumstances, that they put themselves in those circumstances? Oh, come on.
They're so radically different. We can't experience what someone else experiences, and that...
Well, who's arguing that we can? We don't sit there, we can't sit there and exactly experience it, in every single possible way. But we can run a damn good movie. Oh, there, isn't that ironic? He's talking about a movie, right? And that he's talking as if we can't do that in our own imagination. That we can't create characters and make them real in every way. And be witnessing, he even has a whole big pile of crap here about... This is graphic, and this is horrible. Warning, warning, warning. Don't watch this clip. Blah, 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 blah. All this bullshit. Wow, so I guess the experience must be pretty visceral and real. Even though it's completely made in the studio, and it's all fake. Well, I guess our imagination is completely capable of doing exactly that. It can build a set for almost nothing. Come on. Yes, we can know an awful lot about what's going on because we experience the ingredients all the time. We all have headaches and we all have whatever, some sort of ache. We understand the concept of an ache.
That's why there are limits to empathy. Now I understand.
That's why there are limits, is somehow because we don't possibly have the personal experience and the imagination capable of understanding that it would absolutely suck to have somebody beat the shit out of me, forcibly rape me, and then kill me. And I couldn't possibly understand how that would be just pretty much awful. I think I can understand.
And what I'm going to get here is the usual barrage of personal attacks, guilt, and scapegoating, condemnation.
Whatever. This is all part of your routine, right? I mean, here's a video where you say absolutely nothing. You're making no coherent point that I can decipher at all. And yet you're claiming that the horrid dogs of war are going to show up and chew on you. So again, this is just more straw man bullshit. Like somehow you're an aggrieved person. Look, I make this harmless video and I get abused. This video, you're saying nothing in this video. Why would this video provoke any kind of horrid response when you haven't said anything? Yeah, the other videos you are saying something. You're putting words in Buddha's mouth. And I shoved the words back out of Buddha's mouth and then I shoved them in your fucking ass. Yeah.
Sandbagging, whatever. Bring it on, I don't care.
Well, of course you don't, because you're a maniacal, evil, monstrous, deplorable, stinky crud monster.
I've anticipated all of that, and I think we know who I'm referring to here, who's going to do.
Oh, yeah, oh, the mystery monster man. Woo! I mean, even that is just, what is that? I mean, I'm so diabolical and horrible that people are even, it's like Beetlejuice or something. You're afraid to say my name. Ooh, don't say his name, he'll show up.
Do all that, because that's all that ever happens in the sort of videos that he makes.
Oh, rubbish. That's all I got to say. Rubbish! Rubbish! It's just rubbish. That's not all that happens. What I do is explain how you are manipulating language, manipulating concepts, manipulating associations, and distorting on purpose. That you are bending the frame and the viewpoint and the lens. You're just making error. You're playing a lot of crooked games. And I attempt to just point out, hey, there he goes again. He's distorting the picture once again.
Moral indignation and guilt and denunciation aside, the fact remains. Experientially, each of us is alone.
Right. So anyway, so that makes sense to you then? That really makes sense to you? That you're saying you don't think that most women who have a baby know what having a baby is? That for most women, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Ow, 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 there's a big fucking monster coming out of my... Yeah, no, it's not the same for them. Every one of them is just totally, completely alien experiences. They have no connection with each other whatsoever. I mean, come on. No, the experiences are common. We can understand each other's predicament. We can understand all kinds of things. We can understand each other's experience. All right, to some extent, obviously. It has to. There's a limit to it, but the limit isn't some sort of high limit. The limit's the low limit. I mean, obviously, people who haven't really stepped in it, who never even had the toothache, so to speak. Yeah, maybe they have just no idea how bad pain can be. And maybe people who haven't been really depressed don't know exactly how awful it can be to sit there hour after hour, and how it can seem like eternities that you're existing in just this horrible, dark, dank, awful place where you can't make a single thing in your world. You can't look at it without it making you nauseous, and how awful, horrible feeling that is. But yeah, we have had common experiences, so we do know what it is to have these times in life that are so very hard and so very bleak. So this is just nonsense. People can talk about having a child die or have this happen or that happen, and they can know what each other's talking about. And it's just silly to sit there and put your little whatever face on and say, oh, that's the problem with life. It isn't possible that we could possibly understand each other. Of course it's possible. It's possible. It takes just the tiniest bit of willingness. But it's certainly possible to imagine and then empathize. It's really easy to imagine, what if it was me? It's really easy to do. Anyway, it's incredibly easy. So anyway, I don't know what this all, like I said, I don't know. Is that a point somewhere in there? There's a point somewhere in there? I think there's just some sort of vague point, like somehow, you don't know, the rapey monster guy is somehow doing something more profound than just self-gratification based on psychiatric insanity. Some severe psychiatric problem that creates hate. Like I said, these are movies too, so let's be real. Real life, it doesn't happen that way. Real life, you do see what the person's really after, which is gratification of a hate. Okay, you don't see that in movies. Clockwork Orange didn't show you his cause for his aggression. And maybe if it had, then you'd understand it better. Yeah, maybe so. Anyway. We'll move on to a comment by an asshole. It's always good to end the video with a comment by an asshole. One guy for science. Okay, has no videos, no comments, no anything. And yet he talks like he's part of the club or something. Yeah, Gary, keep ignoring my comments. Well, I went to your channel and I apparently have your feed blocked. Where have you made comments, shithead? And keep pretending that you're right, whatever. I'm going to consider myself right until I'm demonstrated to be wrong with something called evidence. You ever heard that word? Evidence. Yeah. Because you'll be happier this way. No, I'm not going to be happy until scum, ignorant, motherfucking cunts like you get what you deserve. Yeah. You really don't understand that both negative and positive states of mind are subjective states. Again, it's the fact that they happen to individuals is irrelevant. The point is they are unique states that only happen to these sentient beings, and those states have definite character. The character of being something you would wish somebody to do again and something you'd wish never happened again. They fall into these categories. It's really easy to do, and that establishes value. And if there's just really is no reasonable way to disagree. There's no reasonable counter-argument. Nobody can reasonably counter-argue the point that it is totally not efficient to enslave people, and it's totally not efficient to starve people in concentration camps and all of that kind of stuff. There's no rational counter-argument. Can't be made. So you're an idiot. And therefore, the same way that negative states exist, actual positive states can also exist subjectively. Well, again, I'm claiming that's absolute nonsense, and you're revealing that you understand nothing about how our brain works. Okay, the fact is that the positive states are completely they're a replacement for some sort of deprivation. You must first be put in a state where you need improvement for your state to be improved, where you gain some sort of positive, as you're calling it. Alright, and so I would claim that I can describe any positive state and explain why it's positive. It's because it's realistically and practically satisfying some pre-existing negative condition. Whatever. And neither positive nor negative states exist objectively. Well, again, it's a fact that they exist, so that's just silly, in my opinion. It's absolutely silly to say that the entire sentient biological mechanisms, all of these animals who have been programmed to feel these sensations that they run away from, sensations they run away from. Alright, like in Clockwork Orange, okay, and the reconditioning process, there's no doubt what takes place in the movie in terms of the value reversal. So the values had to exist in the first place for them to be reversed. And it's also quite clear that we are programmed to find things repulsive and repugnant and disgusting and horror and frightening, and that those sensations are intended functionally to make us avoid something, which is the definition of something not to be done, something not good. So, I mean, it's just silly. We know that the positive and the negative exists as a core, an absolute function, actually, of the sensations beyond just being the outcome of the sensations. The sensations function to create the idea of positive, negative, and do so by actually creating the actual value itself. The actual commodity of positive and negative is created by us realizing those sensations. So stop saying this nonsense. Well, stop saying nonsense. Nonsense is not an argument. You're not counter-arguing with anything real. You're just saying, I don't think so. Well, why should I be impressed by you? Somebody who posts no videos, accounts for nothing you say, does nothing. Why should I give a fuck what you consider it? That there is no actual positive states of mind. Well, again, it's a denial of all of the function of all sentient life on Earth. It functions to create those very kinds of states. Attraction and repulsion. Those words don't mean nothing, they mean something, and the nature of them is in the nature of the concept of good and bad. We avoid bad and we are attracted to good, in principle. And that they're all positive just because they're produced when correcting a negative. Well, again, I'm going to argue that all of the advancement in your state requires a deprivation in your state in the first place. You have to be in some kind of negative state to be put into a positive state. And regardless, I'm saying at least that's true for 98% of human sensation. Because it's just absurd. Well, again, that's not an argument. You can say it all you want. You're unqualified to testify. There's no evidence in this whatsoever. There's just a statement saying, I don't think there's any value. Well, go ahead and think it, but you're wrong. And I think all the evidence points to the fact you're wrong. I certainly know from my personal experience. So right there, you're in very big trouble. Because you're not going to tell me I don't know a toothache sucks and that I don't know having sex is fun. I do know that these are absolutely different things, that they're not absolutely interchangeable, that they're absolutely distinguishable based on the qualitative sensations I feel, and one's in a very negative category and one's in a positive category. And there's just no way you're going to unravel that or change that. There's nothing. You've got a long way to go. This meager evidence you're giving me, these meager statements about how you're saying, well, Gary, you're being fooled somehow. No, I'm not. That's not good enough. You're going to have to explain how somehow the toothache isn't really a toothache. And you don't have a chance in hell of doing that. So you're pretty much doomed. You're not going to change my mind, that's certain. That's probably absolutely certain. Not with these non-arguments anyway. You're going to have to do a lot better than this. Show me a human being where it's different, where the truth is different. You won't even be able to do that. So, fuck you.